All right, so today we are going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of energy resources, and we're also going to look at alternative resources. Your notes will actually have 4 parts all in a one short setting. Those 4 parts of notes is actually going to remind you of our conventional natural resources. Then it's going to look at the advantages and the disadvantages of those resources. And then we're going to look at alternative resources, so that's the third part, and the advantages and disadvantages of those resources. And that is going to be the 4th part of the notes. Drika.
Is this page 79 or 80?
This is page 80. It's called advantages versus disadvantages, but don't write that on top of your paper just yet because I'm going to show you how to set your paper up. So this is page 80. The title is advantages and disadvantages of energy resources, but the way that we're going to write it on here, it's going to be kind of flip-flop. So for the heading, go ahead and write energy resources. On the next line over to the left-hand side, you want to put conventional resource. And here underneath there you want to put advantages. Move over some so you have some space, and then disadvantages. Now, again, we're going to talk about the conventional, and we're also going to talk about the alternative. You can put the conventional on the front, and then on the back, when we get to the alternative, you can put the alternatives on the back, or you can continue going down. After we're done with the conventional, we're going to start another heading, which will say the alternative with the advantages and disadvantages, and I'll tell you when we're going to do that. But for right now, let's start with the conventional resources. What are the 3 types of conventional resources? Conventional natural energy resources. Conventional, meaning this is where we go to for our energy. Oil, coal, and natural gas. I'm going to do mine color-coded. You can do the same with the color pencils there, or you can just separate it with the line, however you decide. I'm going to start with natural gas. One of the advantages of natural gas is actually it is the cleaner or the cleanest of the fossil fuels. The reason why it's the cleanest is because it has the least pollution associated with the 3. Now, some of you might say, well, you can smell gas. How many of you have a gas stove where the fire comes out? And when you click that, you can actually smell the stuff that's coming out until the fire goes on it, correct? That's not the smell of gas. Gas is actually odorless. The smell that you're smelling is what the gas company puts into that gas to give you an indicated smell. Because if there was no way of you knowing that gas was put into the air and you light a match, what's going to happen? It's going to explode because that's gas that's put out there. So they have to put an indicator, which is that smell, to let you know that gas is being put out. Let's just say cleanest. Gas is being put out so that you know that it's there, so that you don't, you're not in danger. All right. Natural gas also yields, means produce, a high amount of energy, which is why we use it. You're going to get a lot of energy out of it. It yields a high amount of energy. If you can't see, then you got to move closer, honey. To get natural gas, it has a low cost. So it's a low cost for getting it.
Do you believe that herrings have been left on several expeditions to be a guide on the Underground Railroad up and down several times?
No. Obviously, I do.
Do you think that she couldn't do it because she's a woman? That's not what I was saying.
Exactly why she couldn't.
That's not what I was saying.
All right. And it also uses a low amount of land. So low land use. It doesn't use a lot of land to get natural gas. So it's a low cost to get it, a low amount of land. Some disadvantages is it does emit carbon dioxide when burned. So that's not good. It is highly explosive. One of the major things, it's non-renewable, which is what we've been talking about, why we have to look for alternatives. And lastly, it's difficult to transport. That's important because this is one of the things that helps our economy stay sustainable. If we can't transport it to other countries or get it from other countries, that's a problem. That's our trade. All right, what was one of the other
Oil.
three? Okay, so let's look at oil. To get oil, it also has a low cost. The energy yield is high. This is why we use it again, because it gives a lot of energy. It also has a low land use. Because to drill for oil, where do we drill for it at? In the water. It is easy to transport. And again, that's good. Disadvantage, it's non-renewable. It does cause air pollution. And we get it from the water, so it could cause water pollution. Oil spills, that would be the water pollution. What's the last? Coal. Coal also has a low cost to get. Remember in our cookie experiment with getting the chips out? Did I pay you a lot of money to do it?
No.
No. Doesn't cost a lot to pay to get this coal. It cost you a lot, but it didn't cost a lot for me to get it from you. I didn't pay a lot of money. It does yield high energy, which again, why we use it. The pollution for coal can be reduced with technology, but will increase the cost. Why build something that's going to cost me more when I can actually pay less? So I'm going to go with the low cost. And because I'm going to go with the low cost, then that's going to cause a disadvantage. Air and water pollution.
Oh, man.
It uses a lot of land. Remember, we damaged a lot of land in getting that coal. Question, Drika.
Would that be a disadvantage?
No, this is an advantage. We can reduce the pollution. That is an advantage.
What about the cost?
But if we do, the cost will go up. That's why we don't reduce the pollution, but we can. No, this is an advantage because we can't really reduce the amount of
I'm talking
pollution.
about the cost part.
Yeah, well, the only reason why I put that there is to let you know that if we reduce it, it would cost us. Coal causes severe health damage. The smut will darken the skin, and it does emit its radioactive material, which causes cancer. Questions for that? All right, either you're going to go to the back or you're going to continue writing down low and then flip over to the back, because eventually you will get to the back, so it might just be beneficial to start on the back. But you're going to restart this heading here, and instead of having conventional, you're now going to have alternative. And we're going to go 6 alternatives, but we're going to move quickly with those because it's not a lot of information that we need to write with those. Can I erase all of this now? Did everyone get everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Everyone saw the orange, okay, when I wrote with it, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So one of the alternatives is solar. Solar energy. The advantage for that, it's no pollution. And it's quiet. And you say, well, how is quiet an advantage? Well, imagine if you lived near a area that was loud. Like if you live near the airport and you got to go to school in the morning, but planes are flying in and out. It keeps you awake, or you got to go to work. Or your parents just had a baby, or your sister or brother just had a baby or something, or you're old enough and you just had a baby. You just put that baby to sleep. A plane comes in, that baby wakes up.
Oh, man.
You're watching a movie that you want to hear, and you got to turn it up extra loud because you can't hear over that noise. So that is an advantage, that it is quiet. Disadvantages, the initial cost is high. It's solar power, so when can it be used? Only works in daylight. Another alternative resource, wind. Wind power. It is self-sustaining. What does that mean? It controls itself. Why?
Because it's a natural.
Because it's wind. It's gonna be there. We can't control the wind. It's no impact, has no impact on ecosystem. Yes.
Why does the cost go up for solar?
The initial cost to set it up, it's costly.
Oh, I thought you meant.
Wind power is not 100% reliable. Why?
Because it might not be windy someday.
Right.
So
It's not always wind. The initial cost is also high. And it uses a lot of land. Next, we have hydroelectric. What does that mean?
Water.
Yes, this is from water. Obviously, there is no fossil fuels used. And there are few breakdowns. One of the advantages of all of them is they're all renewable. So we can add that. It's renewable. The wind is going to be renewable. This does disrupt natural ecosystems. Why? It does disrupt natural ecosystems. Why?
Because of the fish underwater.
Because it's taking from the ecosystem. It's taking water from the ecosystem. And it's a high cost. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, we got 3 more. That's it for that. Geothermal. What does that mean? Huh? Land from what? Land heat. So heat from the land. For this, it's very efficient. Meaning that when it's used, it works. It has lower CO2. There's a low cost and low land use. But because it does emit CO2, there's pollution. And it is noisy, and there is an odor.
Oh, that's real fun. Well, we deal with it almost every day.
Another one. Nuclear. Remember, nuclear is what? What is nuclear fission? We talked about that.
Atoms.
Okay, got something to do with atoms. It's the nucleus of plutonium and uranium, and they split that nucleus so that they can create this power. Because they do that, that is low pollution. It's very reliable. But it's radioactive. So cancer. And it could cause a nuclear meltdown. What is that?
It heats up the earth.
Heats up the inner part, goes all the way out, so that could be a destruction to the world. Nuclear terrorism. What color did I not use? And then lastly, our last one is biofuels. Looks like we only have 1 minute. What's biofuel? So fuel, energy from life. This is going to be from dead organisms. So from organisms. Because of that, well, again, we need to add to geo, we need to add renewable, because all of them are renewable. We want to make sure we add, for nuclear, these things, we're not going to put renewable there because it does use atoms from there, but this is definitely renewable. Again, but it's not your place. That's the thing. Stay in your place. It is less expensive when we say less expensive, it's a biofuel. This is what people use the organisms to power their car because it is a fuel. So it's less expensive than gas. The both of you cut it out. It emits less CO2 than the gasoline that we use as well. Not to say that it doesn't emit it, but it emits less. The downfall to biofuel is it has a very low energy yield. You're not going to get as much energy from it. So with gas, you get so many miles to the gallon. With biofuel, you'll get less miles to the gallon. So let's say if you put 2 gallons of gasoline in your car, you may get 60 miles with that. But 2 gallons of biofuel in your car, you may only get 25 miles with that. All right, any questions on this? Okay, then this concludes the notes for us. And you actually have like 3 minutes.